Death Mage Volume 6 Character Summary.
Vandaloo Dampier Dark Elf, 9 years old male. The now 9-year-old protagonist of this series. Having found out for the first time what happened in Origin after his own death there, he thinks that the Bravers are no good after all. He was hoping that they would live for much longer and not be reincarnated in Lambda until later, so he had wanted them to be more dependable. At this stage, Zombie Maker is a failure of a job, and Golem Creator isn't living up to his expectations, so his job changes have been of poor quality lately. However, he has learned that he has new allies in Zeroworn, the god of space and creation, and Ricklint, the genie of time and magic, who fell into a slumber after becoming powerless during the battle between Vita and Alda that occurred 100,000 years ago, and he considers this to be fortunate. After reincarnating in Lambda, he had forgotten about the members of the 8th Guidance who later become Legion, as he did not have the time to form deep emotions and bonds with them in Origin. But after their reunion, he does not have any negative feelings about being deeply adored, albeit one-sidedly, so he considers them to be his friends. A reincarnated individual, the gazer Minuma Hitomi, is among them, but Vandaloo does not have any particular individual grudge against her, so he doesn't mind. After all, her status shows that Rodcourt strings are not attached to her. He has finally learned the shield technique and armor technique skills, but he is capable of creating barriers without the need to recite any incantations. So for this to be useful, he may have to wait until he faces an enemy possessing a fragment of the Demon King that can break those barriers, or fights a battle under special circumstances where he is unable to use magic. He was attacked by the Clairvoyance and Death Scythe combo from Rodcourt's Divine Realm, but he repelled this attack. During this incident, he learned that Murakami Junpei and 3 others who weren't in the information provided by Legion have died. In the end, Vandaloo gained more than he lost. Immediately after that, he remembered that the Death Scythe Kano Mieji had been a classmate of his on Earth, but he didn't feel any particular shock after killing him. He felt a little surprise at the fact that he didn't feel any shock. However, he has used the Demon King's ink sacs to paint the roof of Talasheim's royal castle and altered the arrangement of the city's walls as countermeasures against clairvoyance, and he has been examining the effects of his Golem Creator job, so it seems that the greatest shock to him is that he has found himself with no time to do his own leveling.
Legion, 0 years old, gender. The heroine of Volume 6, a being created when the members of the 8th Guidance who were saved by Vandaloo and began worshipping him, as well as the gazer Minuma Hitomi, were reincarnated into the base form of life due to a twisted series of events. Their usual appearance is that of a sphere of countless mannequins made of flesh-colored clay twisted around each other, around 3 meters in diameter. As their appearance may suggest, they have no bones, eyeballs, nerves, or organs. Even they themselves do not understand how they are alive, how their senses work, and how they can have conscious thought. Due to the mana granted to them by Vandaloo, they are able to use their own limited death attribute spells. They have also become physically powerful as well. As their appearance may suggest, they are capable of ramming their heavy body into enemies. Also, due to the composition of their body, toxins that poison the blood and neurotoxins are ineffective, and since their body is made entirely of flesh, there are no vital points. But since their flesh is exposed, they have less defensive power, and they are weak against heat and electrical attacks. They are weak to these attacks, but due to their 10 million vitality and the effects of the rapid regeneration skill, these weaknesses are effectively meaningless. They do not possess a core-like organ that could be a weak point that one might expect beings such as this to possess. Even severing or burning the human-shaped parts protruding from their body is almost meaningless. The personalities making up Legion all share their memories, experiences, and acquired skills with each other. It is as if each personality is a terminal connected to an enormous server where memories and such are recorded. With the acquisition of the parallel thought processing skill, the personalities can disagree with each other, and multiple personalities can surface at the same time. Also, with the long-distance control skill, it is possible for the personalities to separate from Legion's main body and act independently. However, while they are separate from Legion, they cannot share memories. Once the separated personalities return, the memories are shared once more. Incidentally, if a separated personality's body is attacked and destroyed, the personality simply returns to the main body. The personality itself is not extinguished, nor are the memories from when it was separate from the main body lost. However, the personality falls into an unconscious state and can become unable to act for anywhere between a few minutes to a few hours or even up to a day. All of the personalities share Legion skills and can use them. However, each personality has strong areas and weak areas. Other than the personalities of the 8th Guidance members who are making full use of their limited death attribute spells in Origin and Gazer, they are weak in most things. They have received multiple divine blessings from Zeruorn, Rickland, and the God of Origin, though they have lost Rodcourt's divine protection in return, and due to their effects, they have become rank 6 and undergone numerous job changes in less than 10 days after being born. The effect of Meat Sphere Warrior, an enormous Meat Sphere Warrior, allows them to make meat that they touch delicious, so they can lure less intelligent, carnivorous monsters. However, it cannot make the meat of creatures other than itself, an undead, delicious while it is still living.
Pluto, Legion's leader, after having led the 8th Guidance in Origin. By using her own vitality and that of others as a cost, she can completely cure diseases, remove poisons, and even resuscitate those who have died from external wounds by sucking the death out of the target. However, she cannot revive those who have died completely, those who are in a state where cardiopulmonary resuscitation would be meaningless. Also, she does not replace damaged body parts or heal external injuries. She merely resuscitates her target. She is also able to pour the death that she has gathered into any organism she touches, causing death. Because she used this ability in Origin to save numerous ill and injured people in order to gather death, there are people there who worship her as a goddess. Incidentally, if her form from when she was alive in Origin is used as a reference, she is at a level where she can barely contest Zadiris in the bust rankings.
Enma, a boy who was something like an advisor for the 8th Guidance. Inside Legion, he mediates interactions between the other personalities and can act as a judge for games they play. He has a calm personality, but he is generally uninterested in those other than his companions. He favors those who favor his allies and detests those who detest them. He has no independent opinions on others. However, after becoming a part of Legion, his companions have expanded significantly. He is the user of a death attribute spell that allows him to know the names and faces of those who have died in the world that he is currently in, no matter where their deaths occurred. However, after becoming a part of Legion, he feels slight doubt in regard to how useful this spell is. He learned the basic method of using this spell during his previous life.
Shade, after he was saved by Vandalue, he was protected by the Bravers who handed him over to a research institution where a cruel experiment caused him to lose his body. He became a being consisting of only a mind, capable of casting a death attribute spell that allowed him to possess corpses. By becoming a part of Legion, he has acquired the physical body that he so desperately wanted and now enjoys various things. He likes delicious meat. Incidentally, his possession ability can also be used by Legion, as he can separate from Legion's main body with the long-distance control skill and infest corpses that way. He has an easygoing personality, but at the same time, he has the characteristic of being unable to resist killing those he feels a murderous intent towards.
Jack, a boy with a swollen forehead and back of head, appearing as if he is wearing a pumpkin on his head. He is capable of using a limited teleportation ability, and if he knows his destination beforehand, he is able to teleport to the locations of his companions and organisms that are near death. After becoming a part of Legion, he has become able to teleport to those with the death attribute present in them. However, he dislikes separating himself from Legion's main body and acting on his own for extended periods of time. He has a timid, kind personality, and he is not adept at moving his body. He got along with Minuma Hitomi, who had a timid personality as well, and the two began to like one another. Generally, when his personality surfaces, Minuma Hitomi's does as well.
Valkyrie in origin, she was a tall, beautiful European woman. At first glance, she may have appeared to be the cool beauty type with a nice figure, but she always speaks in a loud voice and has a brave, virtuous personality. She likes military uniforms and flags. However, because her heart had stopped and her blood was circulated by a pump implanted in her body, she was physically weak to the point that she would suffer from anemia if she were to run, despite her appearance. She is the user of a death attribute spell that allows her to control undead, which normally cannot be controlled like an army. After becoming a part of Legion, her personality surfaces often and she enjoys moving her supernaturally powerful body around. She joined forces with the Death Scythe Kano Miyagi in her previous life before he betrayed her, but she doesn't have any particular emotional attachment to him. When told that he had been extinguished, she simply gave a laugh and said, "So, he was a boring fellow even after death." Incidentally, she and Isis are the top two in the 8th guidance. In Talasham's rankings, she stands with Teria and the top contenders.
Isis, in origin, she was a beautiful black woman with dreadlocks. She gained an incomplete knowledge of medicine through self-study, and became able to use a death attribute spell that turns corpses into undead with the same strength that they possessed while alive. However, because self-study is what it is, she has not performed any surgery other than when she implanted self-explosive devices in her companions' bodies. She was actually placed into a state of brain death as a result of an experiment, but when Vandalyu saved her, he gave her soul the ability to move her body directly, so her brain and nerves were in an inactive state. Even after she became a part of Legion, her death attribute spell works well, but with the new limitation that it does not exhibit its full effects when used on undead that would become stronger than Legion. She is aware that she is not much use in a fight, so she emerges in times other than during battle.
Berserk, the 8th Guidance's only non-human member. A parasitic biological weapon that was created as a result of animal experiments. It did not obey the orders of any but Isis and the other 8th Guidance members. After becoming a part of Legion, it now resembles a bear and obediently obeys the orders of others. Also, it retains its parasitic ability.
Izanami, a woman with enormous tumors covering her body all over. It is thought that she was originally Asian. She is the user of a death attribute spell that allows her to sever her flesh to create monsters called Yamatsashikome and Yamatsuikusa. Also, she possesses superhuman regenerative abilities, which has become the rapid regeneration skill after she became a part of Legion. She has a somewhat mature, calm personality, but she is unable to conceal her cruelty towards her enemies. Her exact size in origin was unknown due to her swelling tumors. The volume of her tumors has been retained even after she became a part of Legion, so she is large and plump.
Ghost, a young black man. He has an ability that rendered him invisible if he remains silent in the darkness, even to his allies in the 8th Guidance. Also, since he was able to slip through all kinds mechanical and magical sensors and surveillance equipment, he was one of the 8th Guidance's infiltration members alongside Jack and Shade. He has a shy personality. He enjoys surprising his companions and severing the heads of his enemies with his knife. He thinks of himself as a man who cannot do anything in battle but take the enemy by surprise, so he made himself the king of surprise, one-hit, one-kill attacks. As a result, he killed the clairvoyance Tendu Tatsuya and feels responsibility for causing Tendu's reincarnation into Lambda. After becoming a part of Legion, his invisibility only works on the part of the body that is being moved by his personality. He is adept at using this to approach enemies and place his dagger between their necks and their spleens. Incidentally, he has learned martial skills.
Baba Yaga, a beautiful blonde Eastern European woman. The reason she had her hair in twin tails to give a youthful impression was to have her enemies let their guards down due to her appearance. She wore a bodysuit that exposed the curves of her body, but this was for functional reasons.
It was an item that she had stolen from a research facility she had attacked, made of cutting-edge materials. She uses a death attribute spell that causes organic matter to catch fire and combust. She remains capable of this even after becoming a part of Legion. Using this ability, she acted as the 8th Guidance's only effective combatant before the final battle. Incidentally, she spared several enemy guards, which is possibly why she has some fans in Origin. She possesses a savage personality, but at the same time, enjoys the daily things in life and has the compassion to spare her enemies, and is not bothered when this contradiction is pointed out. This is something that can be said about the other members of the 8th Guidance as well, but this is normal for them, so it is nothing worth worrying about. The world's knowledge, philosophy and psychology are things that are used to describe the creatures known as humanity, which she and her companions are not a part of. Incidentally, among the 8th Guidance she is even more modest than Pluto. In Talasheim's rankings, she does not even reach Zadurus's level. This threatens their scarcity value.
Ereshkigal, a woman who had the appearance of a female terrorist in Origin, covering her face below the eyes with a cloth. She had the physical abilities of a well-trained soldier, and she studied in the use of guns, knives, and unarmed combat with the zombies created by ISIS and controlled by Valkyrie. She is not particularly talented in this field. She is only as strong as a single soldier in combat. However, she has a counter-type death attribute spell that reflects the damage that she herself receives back onto the attacker, so whoever kills her is certain to die. However, after becoming a part of Legion, this counter ability only works on the individual that Legion was last attacked by, and due to the rules of vitality, HP, the effect has changed to reflect the amount of damage dealt to Legion's vitality. She has a dark personality, contrasting with Valkyrie's. The fact that she hides her face is also a sign that she has no confidence in herself. However, she takes pride in her counter ability. The end of her previous life was the greatest highlight of its use, but in this world, she is able to use it multiple times, so she is happy about that. However, she does not surface often. She is ranked 3rd among the 8th Guidance members. In Talasheim's ranking, she is a little below Rita and Saria.
The Gazer Minima Hitomi, the only reincarnated individual among Legion's personalities. She possesses a cheat-like ability that certainly predicts future events that still take place almost exactly as she predicted it, no matter how much effort is made to change them. Once she was reincarnated in Origin, she thought that she would be able to succeed in life just by predicting the lottery numbers once, but she ended up joining the Bravers led by Amir Hirodo, repeatedly foreseeing the victims of disaster and fiendish crimes, but failing to change their futures no matter how much she tried. With her mind suffering, she turned to drugs. After that, she was housed in a treatment facility as a disabled person. Her drug addiction kept a secret from the public, but Murakami Junpei and his group left the Bravers and kidnapped her. Following this, she was treated by Pluto, and the damage her drug addiction had caused to her brain and internal organs was healed. She and Jack later came to like one another. She has become unable to use Earth attribute magic after becoming a part of Legion, and she hasn't made any predictions of the future either, but nobody around her minds this. When she surfaces, she usually does so with Jack. Also, after becoming a part of Legion, she has fallen under the effects of Vandalu's demon path enticement, so she worships him like the rest of Legion's members.
Mikkel zombie hero broken, late 20s male, approximately 200 years elapsed since death. A man who was once a hero of the Mergshield nation. He was born poor and aspired to become an adventurer to make a living. He displayed talent in the use of the spear technique skill, rose to become an A-class adventurer, and would likely have become an S-class adventurer if he had lived longer. He died as a result of the expedition to Talasheim, and though the details are unclear, his corpse was stolen by Guberman's servants and added to Guberman's collection, along with Zandia and Gina. His grave lies in the Mergshield nation, but it is thought that the coffin is empty. After being captured by Vandalu, numerous mechanisms were placed into his body, and he was turned into a training dummy for the training grounds,
in a state where he cannot move his body or speak through his own will. However, due to the requests of Borkus and the others, he will be treated as a criminal slave. At the very least, he will likely be able to move his body and speak on his own. However, he will be in the same state as a criminal slave, so it is far from freedom. He is no longer a believer of Alda, he is under the effects of demon path enticement and guidance, demon path. He has noticed that Rapiacage is a zombie made by sewing together the corpses of his former companions, but since the soul inside her is different, he is doing his best to think of her as someone else who looks like them. He is an exceptional spearman. While he was alive, he was praised as being able to slay a dragon with a single wooden spear. However, he would tell them, it's impossible with a wooden spear. At least let me attach a stone tip to it. Incidentally, eye contact is his specialty.
Name, Mikhail. Rank 10. Race, zombie hero, broken. Level 75. Titles, Divine Spear of Ice, most powerful training dummy. Passive skills, Dark Vision. Mental Corruption, level 5. Superhuman Strength, level 1. Strengthened attack power when equipped with a spear, large. Strengthened defense power when equipped with armor, small. Strengthened agility, level 10. Detect presence, level 5. Active skills. Spear God technique, level 5. Throwing, level 8. Transcend limits, level 3. Transcend limits magic spear, level 5. Armor technique, level 6. Coordination, level 7. Dismantling, level 2. Farming, level 1.
Iris Bearheart, human, 18 years old female. The leader of the resistance organization, the Sauron Liberation Front, that is active in the Sauron Duchy that is currently occupied by the Amid Empire. They are currently receiving support from Vandalu and are effectively a lower part of Talishheim's society. Everyone acknowledges this, and Iris herself refers to Vandalu as Your Majesty. The only one who does not acknowledge it is Vandalu. Incidentally, they are currently searching for ways to set up cooperative relationships with the ghouls and other members of Vida's races that are living in small tribes within the Sauron Duchy. She has been given a sword that has become a cursed weapon containing the soul of her father, who was turned into an undead by Guberman, and now has the cursed spirit swordsman job as a result. After that, she began to show her companions not only her face as a leader, but a face appropriate for a girl of her age. The problem is, the subject of her emotion is a sword, so to those who are not aware of the circumstances, she simply appears to be an extreme sword enthusiast. She has no time to be concerned about the thickening plot as she gains the aid of Baron Quoko Ragdu, who is a valuable informant despite always beginning discussions with a similar exchange, and a helper in the form of Miles Rouge. Vandalu has given her information to warn her of the reincarnated individuals, but perhaps it would be best for her to be more vigilant of capable reinforcements being sent to the Amid Empire, which feels threatened by her organization. Incidentally, her coordination with the resistance in the Orbom Kingdom's mainland is not going very well after the death of Raymond Paris.
Name, Iris Bearheart. Race, human. Age, 18 years old. Title, Liberating Princess Knight. Job, Cursed Spirit Swordsman. Level, 49. Job history, Apprentice Knight, Lesser Knight, Warrior, Swordsman. Passive skills. Strengthened attack power when equipped with a sword, small. Strengthened attribute values, loyalty, level 1. Strengthened agility, level 2. Strengthened subordinates, level 1. Strengthened attack power when equipped with a cursed spirit sword, small. Active skills. Swordsmanship, level 5. Shield technique, level 1. Armor technique, level 3. Archery, level 3. Mount, level 1. Housework, level 1. Silent steps, level 3. Coordination, level 4. Surpass limits, level 1. Surpass limits, Cursed Spirit Sword, level 1. Death Mage, Volume 6 Character Summary.
Amiya Hiroto, 30 years old. The leader of the Bravers. He has an affinity for all of the attributes of magic that exist in Origin, except for the death attribute, and possesses multiple cheat-like abilities, including simultaneous multicast chant revocation, an ability that uses both chant revocation and multicast, and ignore defense. His codename is Braver. All of the members of the 8th Guidance that he was trying to protect are now deceased. Even his own companions suffered multiple casualties. He feels responsibility for this as their leader. His failure arose from the fact that all of the important members of the Bravers, other than those working behind the scenes, were made up of reincarnated individuals. Almost all of them were students on Earth, and once they were reborn, blessed with cheat-like abilities, fortunes, and destinies, they were never exposed to the difficulties of the world, which turned out to be for the worse. Many of the Bravers had still not escaped the feeling of being a student, or were working in the Bravers as an extension of their student life. People normally encounter obstacles, worries, and various setbacks as they become adults, but due to the fact that all of these were solved by the talent, abilities, and fortunes that they had been given, they repeatedly experienced success with things simply working out in the end, and these experiences accumulated and took root in them. Hiroto realized his failure partway during the battle against the 8th Guidance, but is now troubled because he is unable to quickly change the mentality of the members of the Bravers. He lost the world's trust due to the great casualties caused by the plan to attack the 8th Guidance, as well as the fact that Shade took over the Oracle Endo Ukuya's body and caused an outrage by leaking false information mixed in with some truth. But immediately after that, he brought about a conclusion of the death attribute release incident that occurred in the Federal State's Department of Defense, and it was revealed that Murakami Junpei and the others who had been working with the 8th Guidance were secret investigators for the federal state, so the brunt of the public's criticism has been redirected to the federal state's government. The incident has even caused the president of the federal state to step down, but in the end, unlike the people of the nations, high-ranking government officials still distrust and harbor fear for the Bravers. The losses of the members that acted as the brains of the Bravers organization, such as the Oracle, Clairvoyance, Laplace, and Inspector, as well as the Mage Masher, Minami Asagi, who was respected as a senior member by the others, were particularly heavy. Hiroto is now busily engaged with the reconstruction of the organization with the help of the Avalon Rikyudo Hijiri, but he has not noticed that Hijiri is the mastermind behind everything. He has not expressed this opinion to anyone, but his belief that the death attribute is something that should not exist in this world is growing stronger by the day. Incidentally, both his wife Narumi and their second child that she is carrying are currently in good health.
Amiya Narumi, 30 years old, female. The girl that Amamiya Hiroto, Vandalue, tried to save on the spot before he died on Earth. After being reincarnated in Origin, she tried to thank him, but she mistook Amiya Hiroto for him and caused an argument, but that was the beginning of their romance and relationship. After exterminating the undead, they got married, had their first child, and were told by Pluto that she is currently pregnant with their second. Narumi is under the impression that Amamiya Hiroto did not reincarnate in Origin, and does not hold any particular sense of suspicion towards her husband. However, she has vaguely noticed that the atmosphere around Rikyudo Hijiri is strange. She possesses the cheat-like ability known as Angel, which is similar to telepathy, linking her thoughts to her companions to not only communicate with them, but share their senses as well through any kind of communications jamming devices. Until she was saved by Amiya Hiroto on Earth, she didn't have any thoughts regarding him other than as an unmemorable classmate, just like the other reincarnated individuals.
Endo Ukuya, 30 years old, possesses the Oracle, an ability that causes his questions to be answered by some unknown being. However, during this volume, his body was taken over by Shade, which allowed Shade to get away with all kinds of things, and then he was forced to commit suicide with a hand grenade in the end. Shade's methods were crude, but even so, the damage was not prevented because the Bravers were over-reliant on the oracle. He is one of the few among the Bravers who believed in the existence of a god while he was on Earth, but after his death, he was told by Rodcourt that his oracle should have been named Archive instead. He is certain that this is not the god that he believes in. He does not have any intention of trying to kill Vandeleur once he is reincarnated in Lambda, but he is wondering what he will be able to do, as his oracle is unable to gain information from the souls of Vida's races.
Rikudo Hijiri, 31 years old, male. The reincarnated individual who was granted the plainest cheat-like abilities among the Bravers, increased learning speed and unlimited development. In Origin, where the status and skill system does not exist, his skills and knowledge cannot be quantified in numbers. However, while the other reincarnated individuals mastered their use of their cheat-like abilities, Hijiri spent that time studying magic and gathering knowledge, and he was given the codename of Avalon after becoming one of the most accomplished, ideal mages among the Bravers. However, he is simply a reincarnated individual whose learning is fast and without limit. His potential can be reached by any other human as well. Unlike his companions who possess cheat-like abilities that cannot be replicated by others, no matter where he goes, he is simply thought of as an ordinary person who has worked very hard. This caused the development of a strong complex within him, and this became the reason he devoted himself to the idea of becoming a superhuman beyond ordinary people. He is aware that the undead was Amamiya Hiroto, and believes that the death attribute is something that was created from a cheat-like ability. Judging from the fact that Hiroto was able to partially grant the eighth guidance the death attribute, he suspects that there is a possibility that he himself can develop the death attribute on his own. On the surface, he pretends to be an amicable, rational person, but in reality, he looks down on everyone other than himself. He does not consider them to be organisms on the same level as him. He has a personality that is capable of utilizing and discarding anyone in order to achieve his goals. He falsified the death of the metamorph, Shihuin Mari, used magic and drugs to brainwash her to use as his pawn, and has used the death attribute as bait to gather other members of the Bravers, as well as important figures in political and business circles of every nation, as allies. Naturally, he is unaware that all of his actions have been revealed to the reincarnated individuals who have died.
Minami Asagi, 31 years old, male. A reincarnated individual who possesses the Mage Masher cheat-like ability that nullifies the power of all attributes, particularly those magical in nature. He was a member of the Track and Field Club when he was on Earth, and maintains his sports-oriented mindset, still clinging on to past relationships on Earth. He wants the other reincarnated individuals to think like him as well. Because of this, Murakami Junpei thought of him as annoying even before thinking about leaving the Bravers. He was once strongly opposed to Amamiya Hiroto, who seemed to be nothing special other than having a name similar to a classmate's, taking leadership. But after a fierce contest in which they compared their skills, he came to acknowledge Hiroto. He is not a bad person, but he has a strong tendency to force what he believes is right onto others and believes that this is the right thing to do. He has a suffocating personality. He is a Buddhist. He knows the phrase, everyone dies as equals. He is one of the few Bravers who is physically talented, and he has mastered numerous martial arts. Incidentally, Vandeleur has a top-tier dislike for him, in particular among the reincarnated individuals. This is the result of Asagi having good intentions and repeatedly trying to interfere with Amamiya Hiroto on Earth, a classmate who was wasting his youth. Despite that, Asagi doesn't remember Amamiya Hiroto, because Hiroto was just one of the many whom Asagi perceived to be in need of guidance. Perhaps this is similar to bullies not remembering the victims they bullied once they become adults.
Kano Miyaji, 30 years old, male. A reincarnated individual with the Death Scythe, cheat-like ability that stops the movement of physical objects. Unlike Kaido Kanata, who was an ordinary student on Earth, Miyaji has always been a delinquent. After being reincarnated in Origin, he used the talent and fortune that he had been given for his own success. During this, he caused a fatal accident for a bully who tried to target him by stopping the tires of the car that the bully's parents were driving. However, with the formation of the Bravers, he became unable to perform such acts and was forced to act like a good person. Then Kaido Kanata's actions were revealed, and Miyagi became unrestrained. He joined the 8th Guidance with Murakami Junpei, having only been told that they would find the right moment to kill the 8th Guidance members and sell their corpses to the governments of the various nations. However, he failed to notice, until the moment before he was killed, that he himself had been marked as a target. As a result, he became unable to trust anyone other than himself, and attempted to use the clairvoyance Tendu Tatsuya to attack Vanderloo with Death Saibat, but was destroyed in return when he tried to kill Vanderloo's companions who were interfering.
Inui Hajam, 30 years old. A reincarnated individual with the marionette cheat-like ability that controls the nerves of those he touches. This ability can be activated simply by using a wind attribute spell that produces static electricity to contact the target, so it was an easy-to-use ability. He has committed a number of small crimes both before and after the formation of the Bravers. On Earth, he was a boy with a weak presence, though not as much as Amamiya Hiroto, and even after reincarnating in Origin, he really lacked confidence in himself, feeling anxious that no members of the opposite sex would ever pay him any attention unless he established superiority over them. After being reincarnated in Origin, he used the talent and ability that he had been granted to try and gain confidence in himself for a period. But because he was forced to join the Bravers, he felt like he was buried among the 100 special individuals there and lost his confidence once more. That was why his dependence on his ability grew even stronger. With a strong desire to be noticed by others, he believed in Murakami Junpei, who chose him as a companion. But the truth was that this was only to keep him close by so that he could be killed in the end, just like Kano Miyagi. After being made a complete fool of by Isis and dealt a fatal wound, he was killed by Tsuchiya Kanako, so his mind has been broken and he is in a state of gynophobia. After his death, he learned everything in the divine realm, and is now unsure when the other reincarnated individuals will become his enemies. His current wish is for his self to be erased so that he can undergo an ordinary reincarnation, but there is no chance of this wish being granted.
Murakami Junpei, 31 years old, male. On Earth, he was the homeroom teacher of a class that included Amamiya Hiroto. The cheat-like abilities he possesses are Chronos, an ability that delays the timing of magical phenomena and chemical reactions, and super mana regeneration. He originally aspired to be a professional sports player, and he managed to satisfy this desire in Origin, but he was forced to join the Bravers, and his discontent accumulated within him, though he didn't possess any sportsmanship to begin with. He was always using Chronos in a way that wouldn't be caught by judges or observing equipment to turn matches in his favor, so he later gathered a negative impression along with the revelation of his cheat-like ability. He is strong in one-on-one combat against other humans, using the attacks of his enemies, with methods such as causing accidental discharges of weapons by delaying the explosion of the gunpowder in their bullets, and prided himself in never being defeated or even wounded in battles against terrorists. However, because of this, he became knowledgeable about terrorists and caught the eye of Rikudo Hijiri, who made him his pawn. On Earth, he did the minimum amount of required work to fulfill his duties as a teacher, and even when the ferry sank, he did try to save the students to some extent, but after being reincarnated in Origin, he considers himself to be a different person with the same memories. Thus, he does not feel any sense of duty as a teacher anymore. He is a calm pragmatist when it comes to things other than his own desires, and though he acknowledges that it would be disadvantageous to fight Vanderloo head-on, he left Death Scythe to try and kill Vanderloo, knowing that the problem would be resolved if he succeeded. He didn't cause as much trouble for Amamiya Hiroto on Earth as Minami Asagi did, but when told that Hiroto would provide the funds required for the school field trip on his own, he said, "It'll make no difference whether or not you're there." He used Hiroto as a stress outlet, realizing that unlike the other students, Hiroto was the type who wouldn't complain no matter what. Because of this, Vanderloo hates him the most after Minami Asagi.
Tsuchiya Kanako, 30 years old, female. a reincarnated individual with the Venus cheat-like ability that allows her to copy and paste her memories and emotions, as well as those of others. On Earth, she was a high school girl who dreamed of being an idol, but thought that it was impossible to achieve this in reality. After being reincarnated in Origin, she used her ability to seize her chance, putting in hard work as well to work as an idol. However, though she became a hero after the formation of the Bravers, this was different to what she had wanted to do and what she had wanted to be, so her discontent grew. And she accumulated feelings of irritation towards the other Bravers who were performing their roles zealously. This was the reason she accepted Murakami Junpei's offer. Also, because she came into contact with human death through natural disasters and terrorism, she has come to perceive human life more lightly. She has a self-centered personality, having a strong tendency to make decisions based on her own losses and gains. This is why she seems to want to avoid fighting Vandaloo at all costs. Incidentally, she feels absolutely no guilt over the fact that she killed Inui Hajime herself.
Isla Vampire Viscount Zombie Broken, mid-30s in physical appearance female. A vampire who was once a close aide of the pure-breed vampire Tarnisha. She possesses the transformation unique skill. She was originally zealously loyal to Tarnisha, but after being killed, the subject of her loyalty has shifted straight to Vandaloo. After becoming an undead, she was placed under Eleonora's command, but she spent her days as an outcast, unable to display her power. However, she did not rot away. She is a hard worker who seized her own chance for a better career, though perhaps it is only natural for her to be able to endure a few years in obscurity, considering that she has lived for tens of thousands of years. She specializes in torture, and while she was alive she had dangerous-sounding jobs such as slaughtering executioner, and she was feared as a cold, cruel person by those around her. However, she seems to enjoy suffering at the hands of certain individuals, those who are superior to her. That is why she requested that Vandaloo grant her the title of the Eclipse King's Hound, and a caller when Vandaloo told her that she was to be inaugurated as captain of the Dark Knight Knights Order. She has secured her status as one of Talasheim's leaders, but still unsatisfied, she is aiming to become Vandaloo's close aide, surpassing Eleonora. She is Eleonora's most recent rival.
Gorba Orcus Master Tamer, 5 years old male. One of the initial members of the new race born when the fetuses conceived between orcs and ghouls were exposed to death attribute mana. He has been selected as captain of the Black Fang Knights Order. He is the most successful among the Orcuses and is something of a leader to them. He had a child with a ghoul 3 years ago. Incidentally, the one who started breeding gigabirds, chickens turned into monsters, was Gorba, and it is thanks to him that fresh eggs can be eaten in Talasheim. He has the respect of the citizens that enjoy mayonnaise. Incidentally, Gorba himself prefers miso over mayonnaise. His favorite food is roast meat with miso there.
Name Gorba. Rank 7. Race Orcus Master Tamer. Level 39. Passive skills. Dark Vision. Superhuman Strength, Level 7. Bad Eating, Level 1. Physical Resistance, Level 6. Strengthen Subordinates, Level 5. Disease and Poison Resistance, Level 3. Active Skills. Axe Technique, Level 7. Armor Technique, Level 5. Surpass Limits, Level 5. Training, Level 6. Mount, Level 5. Cooking, Level 2.
Bone Man Skeleton Marquis, years old male. Having finally acquired the dragon mount, Leo, that he wanted, he is on a mission to patrol the marshlands. The dragon's appearance is a little different to what he imagined, but a dragon is a dragon, so he is satisfied. On his days off, he clears dungeons with Leo, only the scaled king's nest, due to restrictions arising from Leo's size, and polishes Leo's scales. Skeleton marquises are monsters that have never been sighted outside of when they appear in B-class dungeons, but the highlight is that he rides an enormous dragon, and those who do not know anything about him would likely assume that he was a famous dragon tamer while he was alive.
Name Bone Man. Rank 8. Race Skeleton Marquis. Level 70. Passive skills. Dark Vision. Superhuman strength, level 6, level UP.
Strengthened attribute values, loyalty level 6, level UP. Spirit form level 6, level UP. Strengthened attribute values, mounted level 2, new. Active skills, swordsmanship level 7, level UP. Shield technique level 6, level UP. Archery level 6, level UP. Silent steps level 3, level UP.
Coordination, level 4, level UP.
Commanding level 2, level UP. Armor technique level 5, level UP. Mount level 3, level UP. Long distance control level 3, new.
Borkus zombie epic hero, years old. He was spending his days teaching swordsmanship to his daughter and grandchildren, who had been enslaved in the Hartner Duchy, and visiting his friends as they played reversi, when he heard that his hated enemy who had killed him and his companions had been placed in the training grounds. His boss, whom he views as a younger brother, tried to stop him, but in the end, he was unable to suppress the hatred within himself and conducted a revenge match just once. Or at least that was supposed to be the case, but due to various circumstances, he sparred with Mikkel day after day to level up, and as a result, he has reached rank 11. This made it necessary to see Mikkel's face every day, but Mikkel could not willingly open his mouth or change his expression. As a result, Borkus often spoke to him in one-sided conversation, and a strange communication through eye contact was established. It is unclear as to whether Mikkel's eye contact ability should be praised, or whether Borkus's communication ability should be praised for being able to read his eyes. Perhaps with his hatred having faded after defeating Mikkel multiple times, Borkus began to feel pity for Mikkel, so he discussed things with Gina and Zandia, and then made a request to Vandalue, only to have the request easily accepted in an anticlimactic manner. Zombie epic heroes have never been seen by the Adventurers Guild. This is thought to be because almost all heroes worthy of becoming epic heroes after becoming undead are noticed by the gods and their souls are turned into familiar spirits or heroic spirits. It is also likely because zombie heroes and undead heroes are unlikely to increase their rank to this point. This is because ordinary undead are driven to slaughter people by their murderous urges. They do not train themselves and gather experience through battle out of a desire to improve themselves.
Name Borkus.
Rank 11s. Race zombie epic hero. Level 2. Title Sword King. Passive skills. Dark vision. Superhuman strength, level 10, level UP. Physical resistance, level 7, level UP. Strengthened attack power when equipped with a sword, large. Strengthened defense power when equipped with non-metal armor, large, level UP.
Intuition, level 4, level UP.
Mental corruption, level 5. Active skills. Sword King technique, level 3, level UP.
Unarmed fighting technique, level 8, level UP. Archery, level 7.
Armor technique, level 9, level UP. Transcend limits, level 1, awaken from surpass limits.
Dismantling, level 6, level UP.
Commanding, level 2. Coordination, level 6, level UP.
Teaching, level 1.
Transcend limits, magic sword, level 2, new.
Gina zombie hero broken, years old female. One of Talishheim's heroes, known by her title of Saint of Healing. As well as being an A-class adventurer, she was the highest-ranking member of the Church of Vita, and her healing magic and beauty was known even in the Hartner Duchy. She is also a master of the halberd. Although she is a tall Titan woman, her height is 2.7 meters. She possesses both a well-trained, beautiful physique as well as feminine curves, including a chest as abundant as Princess Levia's. However, her actual personality is that of someone who does things at her own pace, and while she is normally gentle, she is also rough, whimsical, and goes into a frenzy when drunk. And she became the most fearsome person in the old Talishheim when enraged, causing people to tremble in fear. After becoming an undead, a magical apparatus was installed in her body by Gubaman,
allowing her to separate herself into two at the hips and float with only her upper half. After Vandalue and Luciliano's remodeling, she became able to do this more efficiently, without losing the ability to speak. Incidentally, flying through the use of this magical apparatus consumes mana as fuel. Her type is those smaller than her, and she was always bad with housework, so in the past she would say, "Zandia should just learn how to cook and be my bride." Now she is always accompanied by Zadiris, Rita and Saria, and she herself is aiming for the small Vandalue, who is a capable cook. Zandia accompanies her as well. When she was first rescued from Gubaman, her memory was damaged here and there, and her strength was greatly decreased, but due to Vandalue and Legion's surgery, she has regained her memories from while she was alive to the point that it doesn't cause her any difficulties. Currently, she calls herself unemployed and ignores Nuaza's requests to reappoint her to her previous post, working hard on leveling instead to regain the strength that she had in her prime. Perhaps because she enjoys flying, she tries to take pride in it when given the opportunity. Also, she holds an interest in bodybuilding after being partially taught about it by Vandalue. She has defeated the Divine Spear of Ice Mikkel once in his training dummy state, so she does not resent him much. Her resentment is directed more at the Amid Empire, the Mergshield nation and most of all, the Hartner family. "Crush them, hunt them down," were the first words she said upon learning of the Hartner family's betrayal of 200 years ago. The people of Talishheim normally believed that the son should not be punished for the sins of the father, but it seemed that her rage had erased this belief. While she was alive, the only defensive equipment she used other than her enormous shield was her armor that left much of her body exposed, giving her the appearance of a savage warrior and drawing attention to only her superhuman strength. However, she actually possessed the superior skills, Life King Magic, Life Attribute Magic and Saint Shield Technique, as well as Healing Effect Enlargement, a unique skill that increases the effects of healing performed by the one who possesses it. She was a shield bearer and healer that specialized in defense. When she was under Gubaman's control, she was almost completely unable to display this power. Like Princess Levia, she is a consultant for the bust rankings. Incidentally, the goddess Vita is in a state of slumber, but her familiar spirits have not been destroyed, so she is capable of using the familiar spirit descent skill. However, unlike summoning familiar spirits of powerful gods like Alda, the chances of a successful invocation is low.
Name Jaina. Rank 8. Race Zombie Hero Broken. Level 98. Title Saint of Healing. Passive skills. Dark Vision. Mental Corruption Level 6. Superhuman Strength Level 7. Physical Resistance Level 7. Augmented Mana Level 5. Strengthened Attribute Values Religious Faith Level 8. Strengthened Defense Power when equipped with a shield, Large. Poison Resistance Level 5. Active Skills. No Attribute Magic Level 3. Life King Magic Level 1. Mana Control Level 7. Halberd Technique Level 10. Saint Shield Technique Level 1. Surpass Limits Level 5. Surpass Limits Magic Shield Level 7. Familiar Spirit Descent Level 3. Long Distance Control Level 5. Spirit Form Level 4. Unique Skills. Healing Effect Enlargement Level 5.
Zandia Zombie Hero Broken, years old female. The second princess of Talishheim, and though the Titan race has a low affinity for magic, she is a genius Mahushaujo who possesses an affinity for all attributes, except the death attribute. However, she is 2 meters tall. When she was young, she let this get to her head, but as a result of the special education that she received from Borkus, who was already known as the Sword King back then, as well as other heroes of Talishheim, that attitude was broken, when she learned that qualities mean nothing without training, and she did serious training in magic. As a result, she rose to become a B-class adventurer in her teenage years, and became praised by her title of Tiny Genius.
Because she grew up around her slightly airheaded older sister and the heroes of Talishheim who had great individuality, she actually became someone with common sense. After being saved from Gubeman, she was given the left hand that had been severed by Mikkel back to her like a wedding ring, after sewing it back on, and she is conscious of Vandalyu. She is conscious of him, but it seems that she still feels great confusion, though Vandalyu's attitude of "let's wait until things calm down" could be one of the causes of this. After becoming a zombie, there are several holes in her body, and Gubeman remodeled her to be able to cast spells using a staff connected to her by special tubes. In exchange, she lost the augmented stamina skill that Titans possess from birth and was tormented by extreme pain. But now, those devices have all been removed, and her body has been restored. Incidentally, she is still outside of the bust rankings, but it is thought that the volume of her chest is around the level where she contends with Zadyrus, who has a similar name to her. Also, the Tiny Genius title does not have any effects that limit the restriction of certain body parts. Almost all of her skills are magic, and this is because she spent almost all of her less than 20 years on training in magic. Even so, she normally wouldn't have been able to gain such high levels in these skills, but the effects of her Genius of Magic unique skill makes it easier than normal to gain magic-related skills.
Name Zandia. Rank 8. Race Zombie Hero Broken.
Level 92. Title Tiny Genius. Passive skills. Dark Vision.
Superhuman Strength Level 1.
Magic Resistance Level 1.
Augmented Mana Level 10. Increased Mana Recovery Rate Level 6.
Active Skills.
No Attribute Magic Level 6.
Life Attribute Magic Level 7. Light Attribute Magic Level 7.
Fire Attribute Magic Level 7.
Water Attribute Magic Level 7. Earth Attribute Magic Level 7.
Wind Attribute Magic Level 7. Space Attribute Magic Level 7.
Time Attribute Magic Level 7. Mana Control Level 10.
Dismantling Level 1.
Chant Revocation Level 3. Unique Skills. Genius of Magic. The God of Origin. The God of the foreign world of origin.
He is not a god who created the world, but a god born from the awe, fear, and religious beliefs of the humanity that appeared when life emerged after the world's creation. It is a group of gods that are divided into the individual beings that humanity awes, fears, and worships.
It is as if it is made of countless terminals known as gods, demons, and apparitions that are connected to the God of Origin server.
It is in a similar state to Legion.
The difference is that these beings do not cooperate with each other.
Because it is as if all of the gods of every religion and all of their enemies have been packed into one large room, so they are constantly interfering with each other.
Because of this, the existence of this god does not make a difference in origin. Large-scale, God-created miracles or disasters don't happen. However, due to the persuasion of one of Lambda's gods, Zeroworn, the god of space and creation, as well as Rodcourt's daily evil acts, it worked towards a single cause for the first time.
It is rare for the god of origin to grant its divine protection. When it does try to grant someone its divine protection, it is interfered with. Legion is the only one in present times with its divine protection.
Incidentally, the reason Origin is utilizing Rodcourt's circle of transmigration system is simply because Rodcourt took control of the reincarnation of all of Origin's life forms before the god of Origin was born.
Rodcourt, god of reincarnation. A god who manages reincarnation in multiple worlds. He has existed since long before the creation of not only Origin and Lambda, but Earth as well. He is a god, but he does not have believers in any world, and his existence is not recognized by any other than other gods. He maintains the energy he requires to exist by the workings of his circle of transmigration systems. In cases of worlds like Origin, where the world is created first and then humans create the god afterwards, Rodcourt's method of acquiring authority over the reincarnation of new worlds is to simply insert himself into the world system. He does this as if invading and occupying an undiscovered, uninhabited island, and once a god is born, he simply notifies them of his presence. In cases of worlds like Lambda, where gods create the world, he makes deals with the newly born, pure gods and suggests to them that he manages reincarnation for the world. If refused, he gives up there, and when accepted, he inserts himself into the system. Since Rodcourt systems are generally exceptionally stable, they normally operate without any difficulties. Thus, he does not often have any conflicts with gods of worlds other than Lambda, which was invaded by the Demon King who was capable of breaking souls, and Origin, which he used as a training grounds for the reincarnated individuals.
The development of Talishheim.
Population, approximately 15,200. Ghouls, undead, black goblins, Anubises, Orcuses, Titans, humans, beast people, dwarves, Scylla, half-elves, lizardmen, Armins, vampires. Golems and cursed weapons are not included in the population. Facilities in Talishheim. Mercury Mirror Golems. Explorers Guild Trading Post, Distribution Center, Job-Changing Room.
Church of Vita with statues of subordinate gods, Zeruwarn and Ricklant.
Public bathhouses. Carts of all kinds.
Publicly managed casino. Immortal Ent Forest.
Golem factories of all kinds.
Monster plant fields.
Training dummy grounds, inhabited by undead heroes from Alda's faction, such as Mikkel, new. Theater under construction, new. Artistic paintings that remain in the minds of those who view them. Entire paintings cannot be viewed except from the sky, new. B-Class Dungeon X1, C-Class Dungeon X2, D-Class Dungeon X3. Marshlands Lizardman District. Capricorn Farm.
Capricorn Milking Factory.
Explorers Guild Branch. Small Shrine to Fitterg, the dragon god of 5 sins.
Mental Encroachment Stone Circle new.
D-Class Dungeon X1, B-Class Dungeon X1.
Marshlands Scylla District.
Paddy Fields.
Mud Bath Hot Springs.
Small Shrine to Maribeville, the heroic goddess of the Scylla. Explorers Guild Branch.
Huge Capybara Farm. Duck Farm.
Mental Encroachment Stone Circle. Temporary base for the Dark Knight Knights Order Notchin. Sauron Liberation Front Base, former Scylla territory. Mental Encroachment Stone Circle.